You probably know already that apple canker is a nasty disease that kills your apple tree branches and sometimes kills your whole apple tree. But after you spend just 5 minutes with me, a plant scientist, you will know exactly how to spot apple canker, what causes the disease, and what apple canker will do to your trees if you don't treat it. And really importantly, I'll show you a cure for apple canker. Let's start with how you can identify or spot apple canker on your apple tree. Apple canker lesions start as dark brown, cracked, and sunken areas around buds, leaf scars, or wounds. As the canker develops over the next weeks and months, the bark turns even darker in colour, and deeper fissures or cracks may form. The bark at the outer edge of the canker often turns thin and flaky. As the centre of the canker continues to die off, it appears to recess or sink into the branch. In contrast, the surrounding area of the branch sometimes swells to make an obvious lump on the branch. The sunken cankers frequently have visible rings present in the lesion. Apple canker is caused by the fungus Neonectria ditissima. Apple canker fungal infection usually enters via wounds in the bark, such as wounds caused by bad pruning cuts, frost, or other diseases. In winter, you may be able to spot tiny, red-brown, pinhead-sized spherical balls on the cankers. These sci-fi-esque balls contain thousands of tiny spores, which enable the fungus to continue its life cycle and spread the disease. So when can you spot the symptoms of apple canker on your apple tree? Shoot dieback and poor branch growth in summer can be caused by canker, but apple canker lesions are hard to spot when the leaves are on the tree. It's much easier to spot apple canker in the winter when the leaves have fallen off and the tree is dormant. What does apple canker fungus do to your tree? Apple canker causes serious losses if left unchecked. Apple canker on the main trunk or on a young apple tree can kill the tree within a few years. If the disease causes a canker which girdles or wraps itself around the whole branch, that branch will eventually die. Smaller cankers can weaken branches, and these cankered branches are prone to breaking. Apple fruit themselves can also become infected with the apple canker fungus, developing large, circular, soft brown areas, known as Neonectria rot. Can the soil affect whether or not my tree gets canker? Absolutely yes. Wet and acid soils make trees much more susceptible to apple canker. If you have heavy clay soils, make sure you investigate drainage options before you plant an apple tree. A telltale sign of acid soil is if acid-loving plants, such as rhododendrons and blueberries, grow well near you. If you have acid soil, consider adding lime, which is available at garden centres for roughly the cost of a coffee per kilo of lime. So now, is there a cure for apple canker? Yes, apple canker has a simple and effective treatment, which I'll now reveal. Hooray! So don't destroy your apple trees or rush to burn your orchard. To cure apple canker, you need to prune out all the cankers present on your tree in the winter. Let's learn how to prune out apple canker. Start by pruning healthy branches, followed by the diseased ones, cutting back to a healthy bud or to the trunk. You see this wrinkled ridge at the base of a branch? Leave this collar in place as it helps the plant to heal, like you can spot here. You don't want to leave a long stub of dead branch or torn or ripped pruning wounds. These stubs or wounds will increase the chance of future apple canker infections recurring. When you remove a stem with apple canker, examine the inside. Healthy stems are pale cream, while infected ones have dark brown streaks. If brown is present, cut again further back to reach healthy, canker-free wood. At this point, depending on the severity of infection, you might be alarmed by the number of pruning cuts you've made. When you prune a healthy apple tree, you only want to remove a maximum of about 15% of the branches in any 1 year. But with a tree infected with apple canker, leaving the cankers on the tree is more harmful than the pruning. The cure is harsh, but the tree needs it. Now, commercial apple orchards sometimes apply a fungicidal paint immediately onto the fresh pruning wounds. However, in the UK, there are no fungicides legally available for gardeners to use on fruit trees. Wound paints do exist, but without the fungicide, their effectiveness is debatable. But don't worry too much. When you're pruning your apple trees, just make sure you prune your apple tree in dry weather. Keep those pruning cuts neat and tidy, and clean your tools with a soft cloth and soapy water before and after cutting any diseased branches. Apple trees can quickly form their own protective layer and heal over the wounded surface. Make sure you dispose of diseased apple prunings by burning or composting off-site. Are there any canker-resistant apple trees? Resistant varieties include Katie, Merton Russet, and Newton Wonder. There you have it. You spent 5 minutes, but hopefully you feel a little more confident about apple canker. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out my channel for more ways to keep your plants, including apple trees, healthy. Wishing you healthy plants and happy gardening.